Emily is my name. I've been a housewife. At the moment, I work from home. Originally, I was a stay-at-home mom with a part-time job. I started a side job approximately a year ago when things started to get tough. I resigned my part-time job and kept this side job because I was making good money from it. However, because I do all of the housekeeping, I am really busy every day. I work when I can and make dinner before my spouse gets home. I clean in between all of that, and that is how I live every day. Fortunately, it has been becoming busier with more work these days and every minute counts. Hey, I'm back. Hello, honey. Hello, honey. I'm currently preparing dinner, so please bear with me while I finish it. What? Isn't dinner ready yet? I get home exhausted and dinner isn't even ready. That is extremely disappointing. I'm truly sorry. Your bath is now ready. So first and foremost, take a bath. I've been married to John for 4 years. We met at a matchmaking party and later married. My husband seemed real and like a great person to me. However, his self-centered nature progressively became more apparent. To begin with, he never performed any housework. He had lived with his parents his entire life and had never cooked or even done laundry. As a result, he left everything to me and never cleaned. I didn't mind at first because I was a housewife. I understood that living on my husband's wages alone would be challenging for the two of us. As a result, I began working part-time early on. It's difficult to balance housework and a part-time job. But whenever I asked my husband to do some minor cleaning on his days off, he'd respond, "It makes me tired and I don't know how," and he'd refuse to help me at all. I'd just given up on the whole thing and chosen to do everything on my own. My husband constantly complains about everything, even when he doesn't do it himself. I'd like a cheeseburger steak with a sunny side-up egg. Chili tofu does not include soy sauce. You make use of a jipong. Can't you make my shirts look better? Is it best to iron it? It genuinely irritates me when he picks up and does things like this. If I advise him to go do it himself, he claims that he is the breadwinner for the family. If that's the case, why don't you go earn more money like the genuine breadwinner? However, mentioning it would likely ignite a significant debate, so I refrain from contributing further. For starters, my husband doesn't seem to grasp my work-from-home business. Even when I clarified that I was working, he'd say things like, "You're just fooling around with your computer, right? Don't be so conceited when you're not even making that much money," and I'm missing it. I handle all of the household finances, so he believes we can get by on his salary alone. I saw my husband come home from work and sit on the couch watching TV, and it irritates me constantly. It's even more aggravating because he believes I don't make enough money. What irritates me the most about this is that he doesn't make much money. If it were someone making a lot of money saying these things, even if it irritated me, I'd be able to brush it aside because he's generating a lot of money for both of us. Despite my ongoing frustration with him, my husband made an astonishing comment just when I had convinced myself to choose him as my partner. "I will just contribute $300 per week to cover our living expenses." What? I almost dropped my chopsticks because I couldn't believe what my spouse had just said. What exactly do you mean? Was the lawyer paid? Were you fired? I anticipated the worst-case scenario, but then my husband said something absurd to me. "I've now noticed you've been depleting my bank account." What? Someone at work had told me that they could survive on $300 each month. That means we should be able to do it as well, with no problems. It was my error to entrust you with my entire income. I'll just give you $300 per month from now on. I'll spend the remainder of my pay on myself. That's all there is to it. Okay, no, that is not acceptable. How do you think we manage on $300 a month? We can't even pay our rent, which barely covers our living expenses. Stop talking. I refuse to be deceived any longer. You've been squandering all of my money the entire time. It doesn't cut it simply with your money. Therefore, I work as well. You only earn enough to cover your living expenses. Don't talk to me as if you're equal to me. My pal claimed he could deal with it. Don't say anything when you haven't even invested a dime into this household. Anyway, for all the time you spent doing whatever you want, I'm going to do whatever I want. My husband will not listen to anything I say. He'd go out and buy whatever clothes he wanted and invite junior personnel of his firm out to drink with him. He began spending as if he had a greater income. I was putting money aside for our future, but there was nothing I could do. I began covering both of our expenses in order to cover our living expenses. I couldn't help but feel compelled to take on extra tasks. So I've been taking on more job orders, which has resulted in less time for housework, and every day was a battle. Oh my goodness, is it already this late? I was so concentrated on work one day that I didn't notice it was already beyond 6 o'clock, which meant my spouse would be home shortly. I knew I needed to start cooking shortly, but I was so fatigued from work that day that I didn't want to start now. So I resolved to roll the pizza today. Hey, I'm back. Is this what we're having for supper tonight? My spouse was definitely dissatisfied as he pointed to the pizza. I apologize. I became so preoccupied with work that I didn't have time to cook. What? You just sit there, doing nothing. You couldn't possibly have been too busy. Didn't I warn you? I now work from home. I have my doubts that the job you just fiddled with on the computer provides you with any income. How many times do I have to say this? Stop being so oblivious when you only make enough to cover your allowance. Are you sure? Because you only pay me $300 per month. I work to support both of us. Don't tell any lies. My coworker stated that $300 per month is more than enough. Is rent included in this? They must either live with their parents or have paid off their mortgage, since otherwise it is impossible. I don't know all of the intricacies, but there is someone who could accomplish them. So make that $300 work for you. I simply cannot believe it. That is a ridiculous request. I take care of you, so just do it, you horrible wife. Huh? Who are you referring to as a nasty wife? That irritated me the most. When someone calls me a bad wife, I am not as forgiving. Okay, let's do what you asked for and stick to a $300 budget. I'll show you how difficult it is to budget with only $300. I've returned home. What are you having for supper tonight? Tonight is Hamburg steak night. Yes, I see. What exactly is this? It has no taste of meat at all. Or the texture of the food isn't even close. Of course, it's made of tofu. Tofu? Why not beef? That is something we cannot afford. What exactly do you mean? I made sure you had adequate money. That's correct, so I'm doing my best to live luxuriously on the limited funds we have. My spouse was doubtful, but I ignored him and kept eating. I offered bean sprout stir-fry, rice, and miso soup with an egg the next day. I even created fish cakes that looked like meat and served them with sweet and sour salsonine over rice. On another occasion, I served natto, rice, and miso soup with tofu. His mood seemed to deteriorate on a daily basis, but I didn't let it disturb me. He eventually reached his breaking point. Just get rid of it. Are you attempting to punish me by irritating me? You keep putting off cooking. Is it because you've had all of my income taken away and you're now upset at me? That is not the reason I am upset. That is not the case. We could never live luxuriously on your salary. Don't tell me you're on 300 when my pals are. We can't afford to live lavishly on my salary. Why don't you go chat with your pal once? You have no idea about money if you believe that two individuals can survive on $300 per month. It's not like you're a king of oil with money blooming on trees. Why are you so stupid? Huh? You are the one who is illiterate. It's difficult for a housewife to see the world in the manner I do. When I told my husband about our living expenses, he never believed me. Instead, he simply abuses me. How am I going to persuade this moron? Then something strange happened. While I was at home, a friend called. Isn't this the same John? I felt humiliated when I saw the picture she emailed me. It took place in a large city pub. My spouse saw a young man enjoying a good chat with a young woman, their arms interlaced. This acquaintance of mine went to the matchmaking party where my husband and I met, so she's familiar with him. My husband didn't seem to notice my companion because it was a large bar with dim lighting, and my husband and that young lady exited the bar with their arms interlocked. My spouse mentioned that he was going out for a drink with a coworker. If he lies to me and meets with a young woman, does it suggest he's cheating? My rage was at its pinnacle. He just pays me $300 each month and verbally abuses me. He is, nevertheless, having a fantastic time with a young woman. I fully lost the love I had for him at the time. All I could think of was giving him hell. Following that, I went to a private investigation service to gather evidence of my husband's affair. I received the findings a few weeks later. There was plenty of photographic evidence of my husband's infidelity. I showed it to my attorney, and the lawyer stated I could obtain a divorce and my spouse would be held accountable. I immediately presented the facts to my spouse, who wanted a divorce. You've kept this affair from me. You have a divorce. I no longer have faith in you. Let us obtain a divorce. My spouse appeared agitated, but he quickly began speaking back. That's true. I cheated on you since you're a terrible wife. My mistress is young and attractive, and she does not appear to waste money like you do. I am certain that she would be happier if I ended our relationship and began dating her. Then this shouldn't be a John Lem. You don't have to split your assets, but I expect to be compensated for this. Yes, do whatever you want. As soon as he said that, he signed the divorce papers, and that was the end of our marriage. I can't believe our 4 years together came to an end so quickly. But I'm pleased I ended things with him. Following our divorce, I purchased an apartment for myself and began my new life there. I no longer have a man who complains, so I can perform old housekeeping whenever I want. Now I can live stress-free and comfortably. I even told myself that I should have done it sooner. My ex-husband probably brought his lover to that place and began living with her. I'm confident time will reveal the truth to her. I'll make my ex and mistress pay for it. I don't care how much he protests. I'll get it from him legally. My ex began calling me nonstop about a month after our divorce. When I eventually responded, he appeared to be in a state of panic. Hello, what do you require? Hey, how did you handle our money when we were together? What exactly do you mean? We got into an argument when I informed my new girlfriend of the $300 for this month, and she stated that if that's all I'm going to give her, she's leaving. That's a real bummer. I thought she was a horrible woman and began doing everything on my own. But it's simply not enough money. Of course it isn't. Your rent is $1,200 per month. You receive a monthly payment of $1,500. There is no way you can live comfortably in that environment. However, my acquaintance claims that he can survive on $300 each month. See, that's what I instructed you to tell your pal earlier. I've always told you that $300 a month isn't enough, but you never listened and instead abused me. So it's entirely your fault. I apologize. Please return, Emily. Are you crazy? Don't believe I just waited for you to come back to me. I would never return to you. You should compensate me. I don't have any money for that. Get out of the condo and find a cheap place to live. I don't care if you have money or not. I will continue to press for recompense. This is unbelievable. After that, I continued to send him requests for compensation, but he refused to pay me. So I contacted his parents, but then I discovered that they had no idea about the divorce and were really furious with him. They compensated me rather than him. They paid me in full, which was satisfactory. They forced my ex to move back in with them under their supervision and to pay them off on a monthly basis. I'm sure he doesn't have enough money to do anything other than go to work and then go home to his parents. When I told his parents what happened throughout our marriage, they apologized for indulging him. I was informed that they are now also doing chores for him. He deserves everything because he has done whatever he wants up until now. I hope this has brought him to his senses. I'm doing well with my work-from-home business and have saved some money. I can credit my ex for teaching me money-saving recipes while living with him. That helps me save a lot of money on meals. I like to invest and develop my assets once I have more money saved up. My present goal is to retire in the near future and live comfortably. He must have been a complete moron to think he could sustain 2 adults on $300 per month. I'm really amazed that he can live like that in the real world. I can't believe this woman stayed with him for 4 years.